Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah.
Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
Contair.
That's actually a pretty accurate, that's a very fine measurement.
The width of the length or the width of a contair?
I'm hoping the width, because I feel like the length would not be a very uniform form of measurement.
In
There's a lot of
cases, that can be a very
variabilities.
long
Yeah.
unit of measurement.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Massenomics podcast. I am joined by my left to Tommy DeFay.
What up?
And over here is Tanner.
Hey, guys. Oh, I was also wondering if you guys wanted to either, for the opening, if we could either kneel or join arms.
I thought we
Or
were
a mixture of all of
I thought
them
we were gonna do
to appeal to
need it.
everyone.
we were gonna do like Cirque du Soleil, where all three of us would stack on top of each
Right,
other.
like a pyramid
Yeah.
of butt-locked arms.
Like some sort of not gay
And maybe the
pyramid, but
two
also
on-
shirtless.
Could the two on the bottom be kneeling, but the one on top standing?
Yes, which I think still counts.
It does something.
It does something.
Just to get our message across of
Yeah.
everything that we believe in and
the,
don't believe in.
The shirtless oiled men climbing on top of each other is cool. So, anyway, did I even announce what the podcast is? This is Massenomics Podcast. I'm Tyler. So this week's episode, we have who knows what we're going to get into this week. To break the ice here, I did find an article, guys, this week that I thought was pretty freaking interesting, kind of. So it was WWE superstars reveal their max bench press.
Ooh, I like that. That seems like an article we could have on Massenomics.com.
It actually does.
I'm actually kind of pissed that we didn't come up with that idea.
We might have
Now,
to steal like
is
full
old.
total or
well,
something.
we could go squat.
Yeah.
Or deadlift.
Yeah. Or death. Yeah, either one.
So I'm just gonna roll through it here. You guys interject.
Did you
any
say
way
the
you
article's
feel.
old or
The article is I'd have to go back. Let me see.
And how legit is your source?
date code
Is this fake news, Tyler?
It
or-
is WWE.com.
Okay, right from the
which
source.
is the realest of the fake wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is from 2013, so we can only assume that all these guys are even stronger. And this was only current superstars, so I don't think they're doing much throwback.
yeah?
So the first one is Ryback, and the question's
I bet
always,
it's a lot.
yes,
Yeah.
what is the most you have ever bench pressed? And for him, it's 550 pounds.
I believe that.
And he said, even though right now I feel like I'm good for between 560 and 580, 550 is my official best that I've ever lifted.
I don't think there's any bullshit there. Like Ryback
Oh,
definitely.
he's
like,
huge.
How tall is he?
I don't know.
I feel like all those guys,
can you
it's so
look that up
tricky.
really
Yeah.
quick?
How
I
do
just
you-
want to see like
how do
height.
you even spell Ryback? I guess?
Ryback. I got this article. I don't want to bounce back and forth,
Yeah, I'll check.
or I'll lose it. But like how height and weight of Ryback, I would like to know. I think he's pert near 300 pounds, whatever height he is. But I also think it's interesting. You'll say what the most you've ever lifted, but you'll also have to mention that you're pretty sure.
Yeah,
that you can do more
you
than
have
that
to
now.
get a disclaimer in there at all times.
I do that
He's
every single
6'3".
time. He's 6'3".
Well, I also see 6'1".
I was gonna say, I think that's a WWE thing. Is that
Billed
numbers
by
are always
WWE as being 6'3",
So
291.
6'1", 290.
Yeah.
that's still a big
550 to 580 bench is pretty serious. I've heard stories about him like eating just like chicken breasts, just like with his hands, just all day long.
He also wrestled under the name The Big Guy.
Yes, not as interesting. No, and especially in a world where like 6'3", 291 or 6'1", 290,
Yeah.
you're not even the big guy.
Yeah.
Most of the time. They do kind of get into some training stuff, but I don't know. His best way for a person to increase his max bench press is you got to train heavy. Train each week, slowly chip away at it till you reach your goal. Don't stop. It seems very inspirational.
Did he actually write that, or was that just like a
seems
off
like
of a women's Instagram page?
Someone wrote that. Yeah, that was a fitness chick's quote. Just chip away till you reach your goal and don't
Along
stop.
with a picture of her almost nude.
Yeah. The next one was Titus ONeil, and that is what's the most he's ever bench pressed? 545 pounds. Have you seen Titus ONeil?
I don't think I know
Titus
who that is
ONeil
either.
is an enormous black man who is probably, I'm gonna guess about 6'4", 275.
Is he heavy at all, or is he?
He's like, well, this is a picture of him.
Oh, no.
I mean, he's heavy-ish,
jacked.
but he's
super
super
not, like,
lean.
he's not fat. Yeah,
No,
but no, that's what I meant. Like,
yeah.
sometimes instead of fat, I say heavy.
And one of the, I forgot this too. One of the questions they ask all of these guys is, who's the most impressive bench presser you've ever seen in the WWE? And Ryback's answer was, myself. I'm thoroughly impressed with myself each and every day that I wake up, which I like that a lot. Yeah. Titus ONeil, though, said his was 545-pound bench press. His most impressive bench presser he's ever seen, and get used to this name because you're going to hear it a lot during this deal, is Big E Langston. You know Big E? Have you seen Big E?
No.
Tanner, you're going to have to pull that one up for
Okay.
too. So Big E was in the New Day. But if you haven't watched it recently,
Yeah,
like in the last couple years,
I've
it's not
really
gonna
been out of
ring a bell.
wrestling.
But he is enormous, and he looks like a guy who could definitely bench. He said Big E, he's pretty sure could bench about 575 or so.
Jeez.
I'll keep moving on while you find a picture of Big E.
Mark Henry.
See, I thought
was
Mark
in-
Henry would have
yeah,
came
he-
up as a name.
I
but
think
some of these guys might be too
what I
new.
think is Mark Henry's mentioned one of these. I think some of these guys are so new that they were probably never
Right.
in a room with an active Mark Henry.
Yep.
Then they go into Cesaro.
He's definitely big.
He looks like a bench
Yeah,
presser,
chest,
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a big chest for sure.
Look at the cans on that man. And so Cesaro is a taller, leaner guy. He's actually him and Seth Rollins. They're both like CrossFit guys. If you follow them on Instagram, they basically are traveling and they jump into CrossFit gyms all the time there. So the most he's ever bench pressed is 405 pounds, and I think his. Oh yeah, here we go. It was his most impressive bench presser he's ever witnessed is who cares. And then when he asked him again, he goes, so he like refused to answer the question. And then when he said, what's the best way for a person to increase his max bench? He said, ask Big E. So I'm assuming Big E is still the guy.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, 445 pounds. His, again, most impressive bench presser, Big E. He said while they were still in the developmental leagues, which would have been way before that picture you saw, Big E benched 575 pounds. So that was years ago.
Yeah.
His tip, I don't know if you've ever done this, his tip for the best way to increase your max bench press is negatives. Focus on slow negatives and do lots of dips.
Yep. I like
You guys
dips
got
a lot.
thoughts on that? I don't like dips. They hurt my shoulder.
Well, I absolutely cannot do. I haven't been able to do them for 2 years, but if I ever could again,
It'd be great.
that helped me. I think dips helped me a lot on bringing my bench up, but no doing dips.
Big time. Are you a big dipper?
I actually, when I was a lot lighter, I could do unlimited dips to the point where I'm like, this
was a waste
doesn't-
of your time.
Yeah, I didn't
You
do
had
it,
to add weight.
and there wasn't a weight belt around
Yeah.
to like hang weights, so I kind of quit doing dips. And,
That's what I did. Heavy like weighted dips, like 3 sets of 5, like heavy dips.
Yeah.
I thought helped a lot.
and I don't do them now, but
Yeah.
it's just they don't feel. I just don't feel like I'm doing anything in my triceps as much as it just.
All I feel
Everything
is
feels weird.
awful stretching in my shoulder and elbow pain.
See, for me, I feel like I could cross my chest for some reason when I'm going down. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's they're not my thing.
Then next is John Cena. And John
you can't
Ce-
see his. I don't think.
No,
on
you
that
can't
kind
see
No
his.
one's ever seen it.
The most John Cena's ever bench press is 465 pounds. And his most impressive bench presser is Big E with 575. And his advice is the best way for a person to increase your max bench. Just got to bench.
Yeah.
Amen.
Kane, 525 pounds, no shirt, no wraps, nothing.
Kane's
Really?
a big dude.
Yeah, I
Kane
was
is
gonna
a
say
big
he's got
dude.
big long like
Yeah, that's
him to just even on a rat
'Cause
like
he's like
the Lana bench
6'7".
and is he? I don't know. They
well,
probably
it's
say
probably a
7 foot
WWE
tall.
thing,
Yeah.
but I would guess at least 6'5".
Yeah.
Kane, who's been around a while, his most impressive bench presser is Mark Henry.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
He said everything Mark Henry does in the weight room is impressive.
Yeah.
And
Everything he does on the Arnold stage announcing.
maybe he
Less
needs a
than
little bit of work.
Yeah.
If he ever calls us out for this,
That'd be pretty cool, though. Like,
it would be, but
I'd be like, sorry, don't hurt us.
This next guy, I don't know who he is, so we're moving on. The Big Show.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a guy like that just has to have trouble fitting in a bench press.
I
Yes.
feel like his
And his
bench
numbers
wouldn't be huge.
His numbers are weird. So his is most he's ever bench press is 500 pounds for 12 reps,
Really?
which that's a fucking
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But there also is no top end to that. So I almost wonder if he's a guy at his maybe he just doesn't test. His most impressive bench presser, he's in person, Big E.
But he's close to 7 feet tall, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like,
he's a
it's-
legit 7 foot
Yeah.
tall.
I feel like even now that we have that Thompson fat pad in the gym, like even that's got to be not ultra supportive for
Yeah.
him. His back has to be so wide.
Right.
And then for him to fit in a barbell too, like there's probably not a real natural position for him in there.
I don't
Is there?
know. I'd like to see him do that
I'd like to see
500
it,
by
yeah.
12.
Oh, I would too. Yeah. It's-
Well, I'm saying out of everyone on the list, that's the one that I
You almost don't
Sounds-
believe.
I don't
Suspect.
that's suspect to me because
The other thing that's
it'd
interesting
be like
though,
fucking Thor. You don't see him bench 500 for 12 because his
think
arms
he-
are so long.
No, actually, I think he do like 500 for 10.
what was it? 500. I know he had full. Well,
I've seen him do like 440 for 10.
Maybe that's
that
what I saw,
200 kilos.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and Thor's like the strongest, one of the strongest
world.
men in the
Yeah.
world.
and then was it Larry Wheels just like this week or something? Would he have like 405 for 19?
Yeah.
So it's like, would he? I don't even think that scales to 500 for 10. Like that's.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah,
So, the best way for a person to increase his max bench press, Big Show said, when I first started out, I wasn't benching 500 pounds. The first time he ever benched, it was over 350 pounds. He would do 1 to 2 rep sets, try to go heavier, plenty of rest in between. When you're trying to put that kind of mass on, it's a different theory than high reps. It's low rep, heavy weight, controlled. If you're going to be a legit bencher, it's not bouncing the weight off your chest like some goofball screaming at the gym. The guy I like to watch work out is John Cena. He throws around a massive amount of weight, and you'd think he's just sitting there doing his taxes. He's not a yeller or screamer in a gym, just a very efficient weightlifter. That's interesting. But I don't know. 500 for 12, if I could see it, I'd believe it. But that's fucking
his
lot.
arms
They-
have to be
now
insanely
they do-
fucking long too.
They do
Yeah.
also
but
say,
he also
though,
weighs like God, I
500
don't know.
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do also say that the Big Show is actually like one of the most impressive athletes that's ever come through. Like, for,
Well,
for
to
his
be
size.
that big,
Yeah,
and
For
be
his
able to
size,
even
like
move.
imagine the things you see him do that look clumsy.
Yeah.
If you take it in context, you're like, that is a 7 foot tall,
Yeah. It's
400 or
a giant
500
person.
pound man who went over the top rope
Yeah.
and landed on his feet on the ground. I was
Yeah.
like, that alone might take me out.
and like his legs didn't explode.
yeah. Like, how did your feet not pop?
Yeah.
The next one's Jack Swagger. He must have just been around. 'cause
This is
nobody's
starting to
interested.
make me realize that I am really out of the loop on wrestling.
He's a guy that I don't think was ever that famous though. His was 315 for 16 reps, and that's about it. He said he claims that comes out to about 457 pounds for a max. I'd say, well, then bench 457, and then we'll talk about it. But Big E, they did get Big E on here. Most he's ever benched was 575.
10 pounds shy of 6 plates.
And he said the most impressive bench presser you've ever witnessed in person. And he said, in person, I have never seen anyone bench more than me. That's probably true. In a
How
person.
often do you got to
How
walk
often
into a
does he-
gym where someone can bench 600 pounds?
Yeah.
Which is never.
Yeah, he's that's a lot. Tanner, how close are you to that?
455.
You're like, I'd like to
100
just start benching again.
120 pounds.
Well, that's pretty close though.
That's only another.
There is
a
an
lot.
interesting. There's kind of an interesting little deal here. Like, he started lifting when he was 8. He had sand weights, old rusty bar.
Did it? That's
On Saturdays, he'd watch TV when he was like 8 years old, and he'd do curls during the commercial breaks until he reached 100 reps.
Big E.
Yeah. Yeah.
That reminded me of something I was thinking about. On every podcast that anyone gets interviewed, they say they started out with sand weights, like in their parents' basement. Did either of you guys ever have sand weight sets?
I remember seeing them, but I never had one.
Did you have one?
I saw them,
in your
but
house,
they-
everyone says.
No,
they
I
did.
think I did. Maybe like they were my dad's, and I certainly never used them.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, because my dad's a teacher and a coach, so we got like the high school got rid of an old bench and some old shitty steel plates. So I actually had like a full bench, a bar, and some steel weights that I then never used either. That's what it's always funny too. I'll get people that'll ask me, people who are maybe gonna like want to start working out, maybe want to get a setup at home. They're like, yeah, so I'm thinking I'm gonna start working out again. So I should get like a bench for the house, right? I'm like, how fit are you gonna get just benching? Yeah. I mean, that's. So I tell those people, like, go buy like a cheap squat rack then, and then a flat bench, and then so you can do
Squat,
three
bench,
and you can
deadlift,
pull out
way
the
more
floor,
way more functional. For
Even
sure.
and actually if you break it down, like a standalone flat bench that's not even a good one, but like a passable one that an average person could use, actually probably costs about as much. You can get some cheap kind of flimsy racks for a few $100.
But if you're just getting into lifting, they'll probably hold 200-300 pounds with no problem. You know, so
I've got one that a buddy of mine had that I just brought down in the back room at our CrossFit gym, and I use that thing, just put the pins in it, and I use that for like Anderson squats and shit. And I beat the fuck out of that thing because I have an old shitty bar, and I'm like smashing 500 pounds. So I don't think But yeah, that's what I tell people all the time when I get asked that question. It's like, well, what do you think benching is going to do? You're just going to get huge tits? Like, what's your plan?
The exercise where you just get to lay down, like that's the one you need to focus on. But you could get away without, if you're really on a budget, you don't even need a rack. Like you would just need a bar and weights, and then you could get squatting and deadlifting and floor pressing. If you were really, really had to be really selective on what you could get.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But
another big bencher this week that in the world of Massenomics is James Strickland was, as seen on Instagram, wearing a Massenomics Weekend Warrior shirt. He, at Boss of Bosses 4, he benched 661 raw.
that's pretty serious.
That's getting up there.
And so he's getting pretty close to a 700-pound raw bench.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And we
He's just nipping at Tommy.
we broke we broke bread with James Strickland in Columbus, if you remember that.
Yeah.
He was in the same bar as us.
Did we?
Yeah,
Well,
he was
Ross.
sitting at the bar,
Ross.
and we were.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He lifted in the animal cage at the Arnold.
Right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of those things, like the quickest 180s I've seen from someone's expression before. When you just see him at the bar and Ross goes and taps him on the shoulder, and he kind of gives a look like, "Who the hell is bothering me?" And then you just see Ross say something, and immediately he's. It's like they were best friends, and they talked. I think they talked for like 10 minutes.
He's like, "You bench press? I bench press."
Do you like to bench? Because so do I. No, that was kind of funny. That always seems to work that way too, where you'll find somebody who's like, you're like, "Am I going to bother him? Am I going to bother him?" And you might.
Yeah.
But usually, like, that guy probably gets talked to by people who don't bench and don't lift.
And
About
gets told
his
ridiculous
hugeness.
numbers too.
Well, it's not like he's famous. Like him walking around at whatever town he lives in, probably no one ever, people aren't.
I had a couple episodes like that this week actually. So there was a guy came into our gym because it's right on fucking Main Street. So like a guy comes in, and while I'm finishing up working out, like it was between classes, so I'm like sweaty and pumped and just not ready to deal with. Had no interest in fucking joining either, So he was telling me about some girl that he knows. He's like, "Yeah, I know this girl, and she lifts weights and stuff too." And he's like, "What's the heaviest dumbbells you have here?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a CrossFit gym, so I don't really have any really heavy ones at all."
Was this a guy that would know what
No,
Yeah.
even. It wouldn't even know what the lifts are.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't know the difference between a deadlift and a squat. Like,
Right.
if I showed him one and said, "Which one was that?" he wouldn't know.
Well, honestly, wouldn't know the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, he's like, "Yeah, so this girl I know, she could lift like one time she lifted like 400 or 500 pounds." And I was like, "Oh, that's
Lifted?
That's really impressive." Yeah, that's the word he used. Like, and I'm like, "Oh, that's really impressive." And then he's like, And he was like, well, what's the biggest weights that you could put together here? Like, what's the most weight you could put on a bar here? Like, for real. And I'm like, well, I got mostly bumpers here, so I could probably get like 555 or something on a bar here. And he's like,
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm sure she could definitely do it. Do what? Do what? like roll it around. And I'm not saying she can't, but I'm pretty sure she can't. Whoever that person is probably doesn't want you running around making those types of promises on their behalf. Fucking tell you that. And I had another guy came in this old guy, and bless his heart, but he was just talking, and he was like, I mean, I used to lift and stuff, and he was like, I mean, I was as big as, I was probably bigger than you. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, no, you weren't. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you weren't. You weren't. Like, I just promise you fucking weren't. You're like 6 foot tall, so whatever you had on you, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff where it's like, but you get the guy that comes like, oh yeah, I mean, how much could you bench? And I was like, I don't know, probably about 400. And he's like, they'll be like, oh yeah, I knew a guy that did like 6 or 7, which is like, what a dick thing to say.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
well, fuck, I know a guy. Like, we're in contact with guys that bench almost 700 pounds, so fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we talked to Jonah. He benched almost 900. What are you? Fuck you talking about? So
we're just having a competition to
it's a
see who
contest.
knows stronger people. Because we probably know stronger people every time.
I was like, I promise, I know people stronger than that. But I don't run around like leading that into conversations.
Like, how much do you lift? Well, I know Jonah Leo. He benches 900.
Yeah. So eat it. But I don't understand where that comes. It's like, but it fucking drives me nuts. But yeah,
that's only people that are really far removed from the entire
for sure
thing that know nothing about. Like, but also
because to them 400 pounds is 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So when they saw someone lift 400 pounds one time, they're like, that person lifted 1,000 pounds. I watched it with my own two eyes.
Yeah, I guess two things. It has to be someone that doesn't know anything about it, and then also is a type of person that's really comfortable talking that much about things that they don't know anything about. Like making.
What they don't understand is we have a podcast with which we talk about things that we don't know about for an hour. So we're really good at that part of it.
Well practiced and rehearsed.
Listen, I talk about shit I don't know about once a week for a full hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
And talking about how much weight you can put on the bar, that's something that me and Tommy were just looking at the gym this weekend, because I said on the Texas squat bar, I was like, man, these sleeves are huge. I was like, my God, you could fit like, I was like, who would ever need that much space? And then we got looking at the kilogram plates too. I'm pretty sure you could put like 1,500 pounds on the bar.
And we talked about it. We're like, as far as we know, like when it comes to a squat, probably the most plates set I've ever. Maybe there's some crazy multiply record out there, but as far as we know, the most weight that's
1,100 pounds.
Been on a squat bar is around 1,100 pounds.
Like Blaine Sumner, 1,100.
Yeah, I think there's like a multiply. There's
12.
Like 12.
Yeah, Dave Hoff has done like 12 plus probably.
But even well. And so that's where multiply, I think a lot of times they're maybe not using kilo plates either. I think it's kind of the rules or whatever there. But
yeah, I think it depends on
at
the
least
fed.
in the general other part of the world, when you're using calibrated plates, like the heaviest loaded a bar's been is that 1,100-ish area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was telling Tanner, like with that IPF bar, or with the Ohio, what do they call that bar?
Rogue Ohio Power Bar, 20 kilograms.
One of the features of it is the collar is so narrow.
Yeah,
to have a bigger sleeve, but we're also talking like how the bad side of that is anytime you're unracking it, because the weights are that much closer to the rack, it's really easy to hit the
like
weights
if you're
on
in a
the
power
rack.
walking out
because
of the squat,
because the Texas Power Bar,
one little turn.
the Texas Power Bar gives you almost 3 inches probably on both sides, and this thing, the collar is it a half an inch maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
So now you're going from 6 inches of total room to about an inch.
I've heard a lot of people say
so you have to have
that
the perfect unrack to not hit those on the bar.
Yeah.
And so we're talking like, is that feature really needed though? And we were trying to do the math to figure out like how many plates are needed for an 1,100 pound squat and how far out that goes. And then there obviously is the factor of the collar, or the collars that they use. The calibrated collars are a lot bigger too, but we still just figure that there's a lot of extra collar that's probably not needed at all.
But maybe someday, once like Ray Williams can squat 1,200 pounds, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. If they were using pound plates, so yeah, for sure, I think you would need the extra space.
Yeah.
Ray is still chipping away, huh?
Yeah.
I know.
He did
He just keeps
over
climbing
1,000
up. He had another over. He has. I noticed that on the. Did you see that thing
like
on
29 of them
on
or
his
something.
weightlifting belt? Yeah, like so on the inside of Ray Williams' weightlifting belt, he has a mark every time he squats over 1,000 pounds, and there's a fucking lot of them.
Yeah, I counted, and I
did
think
too.
it was over 25.
It was
or
close
20
to
or-
30. Yeah, which is a lot.
That's crazy. That would be so
Considering-
cool. To
has
be,
anyone
like,
else
Man, if you did that once, I would cash it in. I'd be done.
Because has anyone else besides him done a 1,000-pound squat without wraps?
What about that guy, that foreign guy that's also super heavyweight, IPF? He had the unofficial record. He broke. Yeah, he has.
Oh, that Jezza.
Yeah,
Yupa?
Jezza. Yeah, him.
whatever's it. Yes, he would.
He would be the only other
besides
one.
those two, no one
Yeah.
else has done a raw.
In sleeves.
Yeah, sleeves. 1,000-pound squat.
I don't
have
think
they?
Eric Lillibridge has. I'm guessing his is
'cause I think
900
his is
some in,
his is
in
the 900s.
sleeves.
And I think quads like Rob's in the 900s.
Yeah.
Also, according to Eric Lillibridge's Instagram lately, he's getting fucking enormous.
He has a way of taking those pictures too.
Oh yeah, it's the phone's always like
Yeah.
arched in.
Like his traps are scary. He's
Yeah.
in Australia now. Like that big dog
Getting
meet
ready.
must be coming up
I think
pretty
it's in a week
soon.
or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to see like what he's gonna squat.
because it's been a little
Andre.
while.
So
for
one
Flex
of
and
my-
Well,
Speed.
that Dan will be there then too.
Yeah, one of my members at our CrossFit gym is. I guess he went to high school with Eric Lillibridge. And
In
so
Chicago, or-
he was telling me some stories about it. I was like, yeah, that dude's fucking huge. But no, he's so big. There was a picture he posted today of them like at a wedding.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
I saw
And
that
you're just
too.
like, man, you're so big, you shouldn't ever wear polo shirts.
Like,
Matter of fact, he's so big, I don't know why you'd wear a shirt.
That's the picture though that they put on like ads on the side, and it's like the
Supplement
trainers hate
companies
this
hate
guy.
He doesn't even go to the gym.
Yeah, like that is the
Right.
picture because it seriously looks photoshopped because
Yeah.
he's so
But
big.
he is so fucking huge.
He is.
Yeah,
he
like
is.
that's weird.
Ridiculous. I don't know if this will come through on the YouTubes, but that's a giant fucking human being for
His
sure.
traps
Like,
are like I think
his
his
upper
traps
body-
are like 7 inches tall.
Yeah.
Like from his and there's also a very defined
Yeah.
like there's no
There is,
melding of the muscles or
No,
things
no,
together.
there's-
It's
this
like
is where your traps start,
Yeah.
and this is where your neck is.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
dude's
it just
huge.
looks like he should be able to bench like 800 pounds. Like, it looks like it. I mean, and he has a great bench too. But
It's his
the way
worst
he's
of the
built-
three,
it is-
all
it is,
relatively
yeah.
speaking. Like,
I
not
am-
that over a 500-pound bench is bad, but just
Yeah.
like when your squat's 1,000 and your deadlift is 950.
There's a lot of big, strong people out there, but if I had to put money on which powerlifter, let's go through this. This will be a fun little game. If you had to bet an amount of money that mattered to you, which powerlifter would be able to pull the head off of a human being in one shot? My money goes on Eric Lillibridge.
probably because he's so explosive off the floor.
Because when he lifts, it does seem very violent.
Yeah.
And I do believe that if he like stood on your shoulders and chest, that he could grab you by the chin and under your jaw and separate your head, or at least pull your face off.
This would be his Mortal Kombat finishing
I
move.
believe it would be.
I would go with Kirill or
Oh, it's not a bad Zahir.
no, well, actually, yeah,
Zahir
Zahir.
would be.
I would maybe pick Zahir. No, but the Russian guy he's 6'7", he's
Yeah,
got the all-time
with
bench
the-
record.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I never know how you say his name, but just
Yeah.
because he's like 6'7",
Yeah.
like enormous extremities,
Yeah.
and, But yeah, maybe Zahir actually. Now that you mention it, because he probably has actually done that.
He may have.
He is the craziest.
If he
like
has-
as crazy as a
If Zahir
requirement.
hasn't ripped the head off of a person, he has thought about doing it the most.
So big dogs will have Zahir, Eric Lillibridge, Andre Milanichev, and Dan Bell.
Or are they all?
As far as
I think
know,
that was
if
yeah.
none of those have
Even when
backed
we
out.
even when we talked to Dan last time we talked, I talked to Dan a couple days ago, and he said Big Dogs was
his
that was
deadlift
coming
looks
soon.
like it's been.
That's
he's
really
been going
deadlifting
on
almost
for him.
900 pounds.
Yeah.
He's not talking about his bench much.
No, I haven't
Come on,
seen much
Dan.
of that, but his deadlift, big. A couple of them look like just because his quads and everything are so big, like at that last little part.
You almost can't tell if he's hitching or
Right,
if he's just
right.
bumping it around his legs.
Yeah, but either way, it seems like he's going to set a pretty big deadlift
Yeah.
PR if things go well
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah, I think that out of all of his lifts has been like really
Tommy?
progressing
Yeah.
well.
Who's your head ripper?
I still think it's Eric Lillibridge.
Yeah.
He's just
like it's hard to look at that picture of him like that. And be like, yeah,
I don't know.
Some
You're
not.
gonna
Yeah.
put money on someone else.
Yeah.
I could see like a 3 years ago George Lehman being really good in that spot too.
Yeah,
but
that's true. Because you also you need a little bit of, if you're going crazy.
a little crazy.
Yeah. That's where Zahir comes in, or George Lehman is just being slightly nuts.
Yeah, that helps.
Did you see Zadrunas Zavickas won?
That's what I was
Giants
just trying to pull it up, but
He
So
he
how
took home
old
first.
is he now?
40 something. I don't know.
God,
he can compete in masters.
Can he?
Masters strongman now.
Yeah.
and then win all of those forever.
Eddie Hall started the competition, but he didn't finish. He had the flu. He did the log press and only hit 2 reps and quit because
really?
he had the flu and something else.
So I thought he was kind of getting out of the strongman thing.
Well,
a
yeah,
little
that
bit.
must not be true though. I don't know.
No, he said he's retired from World's Strongest Man, and he said he's still
okay.
going, and he's still going to do some local and regional stuff as he's dropping weight. So I think he's down now to like just under 400 pounds. So he's still competing and doing his thing, but it's not like he said. World's Strongest Man is what he retired from, but I think he said it will be like, because this was in England.
That giant
So
slide.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, but the funny thing was where was that? Yeah, here we go. So, towards the end, the Atlas Stones, Robert Oberst from the great US of A went against Best. Oberst got a huge round of boos from the crowd, most likely due to his earlier comments when Colin Bryce asked him, "How are you enjoying England?" And Oberst replied, "Well, other than the people, the food, and the weather, it's great."
Yeah, and him and Eddie Hall have a history of a back and
Talking
forth,
shit.
talking
Oh, do
shit
they?
with each other.
I
Like,
don't think it's like hate, but they go at it pretty
Yeah,
hard. Like
yeah.
he called him up because Robert Oberst had put a couple things out there about how he eats like, there was a thing on there about like some 20,000 calorie a day diet, but that how he also tries to keep it clean and it's like, and Eddie Hall, who knows what that grind would be like,
Yeah.
basically just called him out on it completely. Like, no, you're not. You don't. I promise you don't. You fucking don't. You ain't caling your way to 20,000 calories a day. Don't lie to us. So, and then since then, that was actually back when Oberst was big and heavy. And he's gotten a lot leaner now.
yeah, and he did well. He actually didn't podium, but the top 6 guys going into the last event all could have. I think that's
Swapped
what something
around
like
pretty
that.
quickly,
Yeah,
yeah.
where it was like really tight with those guys. But it's cool that Z won. I think to me.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
that's-
just
I
it's
really
crazy
like-
that he's still like
Yeah.
a factor.
We need him for the Arnold this year.
that would be really cool.
Z's got to do it. Eddie's not going to do it. There's no way Eddie will do it again. I can't imagine Eddie will do the Arnold.
No, I'm sure. I don't think he does that
Especially
anymore.
not after fucking last year's. When he didn't do it, and
Right.
then they kind of clowned him on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I think he's. Well, I still think he's affiliated with that Giants Live somehow, and that's why he's doing
what he
those,
does.
and then he's only going to do those probably.
Yeah.
But we need to have, like for the Arnold next year, you for sure need Shaw, Thor, Zadrunas.
Yeah, if Big Z if you could take even last year's field and throw in Big Z, it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could have,
enhance.
but imagine last year's field like it was the year before, where we have Big Z and you have Eddie Hall.
If all 4 of
Like,
them
come
competed in
on,
that,
yeah.
it would be
Like,
really
I mean,
fucking cool.
Nothing to shit on the other guys, but there was a lot of time where we're like,
Yeah.
well, we're waiting for this guy to
Yeah.
not do this thing.
And at that point, you would be looking at 4 of the best of all time
Yeah.
going at it.
Right.
which-
An interesting thing too is if you think about like guys like that, are those the strongest human beings that have ever lived?
Not
well, it
according
depends
to
on, I was
Kaz.
going to say, it depends on who you ask.
Well, I'm gonna not ask Bill Kazmaier about history.
People would say, like, I see these things on Instagram where it's like, who would you pick all time for World's Strongest Man? And Thor's oftentimes in those things. And the funny
He
thing
hasn't
about
even
Thor,
won.
he's never won World's Strongest Man or the Arnold.
No.
Yeah.
But what
But,
I,
like,
what
I
I
think
mean, what I
he's maybe
mean
one of the
is-
best athletes, though, to ever
Yeah.
do it.
What
Yeah.
I do mean by that though is say out of guys like that, because I do think
Yeah.
that strong, like that type of strong, is probably the most strong that, like, I think a guy 300 years ago who was strong as fuck would have done better at the sport of strongman than say powerlifting, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can let's just pretend that we're going to use the sport of strongman as the metric.
Yeah.
But like, so are these the strongest human beings that have ever walked the earth?
I find it hard to believe that
Yeah.
they're not.
I would say they are,
The main
too.
thing is the training
Yeah,
and the
the
time.
diet,
So certainly there isn't
nutrition.
anybody in the last
and
150
recovery.
years.
And steroids,
Steroids,
not having
yeah.
existed
Yeah,
since.
drugs. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you exactly. If you remove drugs,
they're still going to be strong, but they're not going to be where they're at now.
Right.
Yeah, I would say the drugs very specifically make it so that nobody could touch them. You're not going to find some guy in the year 1100 who just was some giant.
They just wouldn't be able to get that big.
Giant Viking warrior, scrapping over fucking food. Right. You don't know like how many kids are you snatching food from?
Well, and that's I'm like not a world historian expert by any means, but
I don't think they were lifting.
Well, and then at how many points in history, like before kind of like this industrialized world we live in, did people have like unlimited access to any type of food? Where they could have that supplement yourself with a diet like that,
or where you could spend that much energy training. Like the reason we lift is because our lives are so soft that we have to invent work. So that we don't turn into baby shit.
We don't have to salt meat and keep it for 6 months and ration it out and hope that we.
The only way is if there could have been like after
just
in
a
all
genetic
the just a complete anomaly,
like one
just an anomaly out that's literally like 7'7", 600. Maybe that lived like in some time in all the history.
But I feel
of man.
like that person would still have statues.
I've wondered this, and there's probably some reason something I just don't understand, but. Like when you go back and look at like Greek and Roman statues and stuff, and these guys are jacked. Like the statues are jacked
with little dicks.
With the tiniest. Where did those come from?
So what's with the penis?
When those guys are jacked, how did they know at that time what like a jacked person looked like? Because I would just imagine you were either really skinny and like borderline malnutrition or whatever, or like you were just kind of average. Like had they ever seen someone that with like huge traps? Like did they know traps could get really big? Did they know you could get these huge six packs?
Would if Eric Lillibridge
like what would they do if they saw that
of ancient Rome? Like how would that play out?
That's a good question.
I feel like
I suppose they just over exaggerated everything a little bit.
They just understood the basic anatomy and just thought we'll make it bigger.
And the penis is smaller.
Listen, I can't have this guy.
So small.
Listen, you're gonna come into my sculpture studio. You're gonna be naked, and I'm gonna sculpt you. But I'm downsizing that dog.
That wiener is gonna be small.
I can't have your super jacked physique already overshadowing me. I'm dumbing down that dick, dude. We're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be so impressed with how good you look, except for right there.
Another thing I was going to say, though, about that Giants Live, what we were talking about, is their crowd looks awesome.
Oh,
like I don't know where they're at, but the arena, the stadium, whatever they're in, it looks like an awesome venue for that.
And that's a one-day thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's a one-day thing, and I think it's got to be fast because, again, nobody's going to be there. It's invite only, I assume.
I'm sure, yeah.
They're not playing patty.
Yeah, it was invite because they threw Nick Best in at the end.
That's
because
why
looking at that, though, like I would, and I could be completely wrong here, but I would imagine most of those guys, like winning and competing, are making some money off of that, aren't they?
Yeah.
It seems like at that thing.
I would actually assume that if I could be wrong, if I'm putting on an event like that, I would expect to have to pay everybody who competed.
Just to show up. Yeah. I would think that. But when you see that,
everybody would make some money.
But when you see that versus a powerlifting meet, it makes complete sense why those people are getting paid because there's
people there who want to watch it.
It looks like an awesome spectacle to see.
It's a show.
Yeah, you're not like throwing people in a room for 12 hours and be like, take it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet they all got something out of it. Free trips and hotels and all that too.
We should probably do that, huh?
Yeah, why doesn't America have something like that?
No, I mean Massenomics.
That's why we haven't done it yet. They're just waiting. They're waiting for us to do it.
If you build it,
there was
Massenomics Live.
There was that one in Dallas. Was it in Dallas or Texas this last year? This year. They invited a bunch of guys.
Yeah,
was the one
he
that
was
won
it there. Yeah, I did see that, and that looked better.
That looked better. It looked like there was a good. But again, I think it was on like a runway, so I don't know how much there was for
that's
bleachers.
The thing. I think you need to put it.
It's got to be a stadium.
Yeah, put it in a stadium where people can have concessions and have fun.
Well, how about having World's Strongest Man in America and putting it in a stadium?
Yeah.
Have World's Strongest Man in the place that has all the food where we can.
Right.
Go to Botswana.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever figured out why that happened 2 years in a row? Did they get a 2-year contract? The Olympics doesn't do. You don't get to host the Olympics 2 consecutive years or the Super
Good
Bowl.
question.
Yeah. There has to be some behind the scenes money somewhere.
It's like some warlord in Botswana took all of the money from all of the people and all of their taxes.
You come to Botswana.
Who just like happens to be a huge fan of Half Thor.
Isn't it IHG or whatever that runs that? Or not IHG.
That's HGH.
It's like that IMG
Yeah,
is
something
somehow
like
tied
that.
into World's Strongest Man, and I think that, who knows? They probably have some contract or tie-in with a resort. Cool, because isn't it?
Hey Siri, why was the world's strongest man in Botswana twice in a row?
My web search turned something up for why was the world's
No, useless. Read.
That's what you get for that, Tyler.
God, well, never mind. I'm not reading that.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah, they doubled down on their previous location while returning to Botswana.
Double down.
Doubled down. And all the information is like, okay, here we go. Botswana is home to both. What the fuck does this have to do with this? Okay, so as readers may or may not know, Botswana is home to both black and white rhinos, which are under grave threats from ivory hunting poachers.
That's why they had it there.
The government, I think this is actually good, is what you're going to hear, apparently. So, yeah, the government has fought tremendously against this environmental crisis. As a result, populations have seen a dramatic rise. The nation has a dedicated rhino squad prepared for combat. I don't know why this is in this. Botswana's aggressive preservation policies hope to keep their land populated with wildlife for visitors and strongmen on safari. Well, that wasn't fucking relative to this story at all. But yeah, like all the information comes through the Botswana Tourism Office too. The press releases on the times and the dates and everything. I remember that coming out. None of them were released by World's Strongest Man. It all went through Botswana's tourism department's like website, which I don't know. Maybe they're just really trying to shine up Botswana, make it Africa's Disney.
Polish a turd.
So
I'm gonna go next year if they have it there again. I've been dying to go to Botswana.
What a great trip.
Yeah.
You know, there's a list of places I'd like to go and show off the fact that I'm not starving to death. That'd be the one. What else did we have, Tommy? We had the. We had a bit of a. What did we read the deal about the sponsorship stuff this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen some posts on, I think, Instagram. I mean, you even hear the topics come up on podcasts, videos, whatever, about the topic of powerlifters being paid or being paid to be a powerlifter.
And now we're talking the sport of powerlifting pretty specifically.
And specifically because people do get paid to be a strongman because they figured out how to make it fun and entertaining, and general people like to watch it. But
still not very many people.
Not many, but
not in the grand scheme of things.
And I mean, not very many competitors are getting
No.
You're still
Yeah.
just talking
Yeah.
like the best
There's
of the
only
best
like
of the best.
8 people making a living doing that.
well, and not even making a living, but even getting paid. Like we said, just this year at the Massenomics Strongman, I mean, there was probably more prize money given out at that one event than most powerlifting meets in anywhere.
Yeah,
you know?
outside of like 10 powerlifting meets in the world, maybe, you know?
Yeah. But just kind of an interesting thing to think about and to discuss, I thought, would be what you guys think about the idea of should powerlifters be paid? If you hit a 2,000 pound total, does that mean you should now
Entitled
be
to
getting?
money?
Should you now be expecting checks from companies?
I think it's interesting because, you know, we've seen like Matt from Pioneer has posted in regards to this, and like the fact is, what you can lift in a meet doesn't mean anything to sponsors whatsoever. In the grand scheme of things, like they don't care.
I think it means something, but I don't think it's probably not in the top 5 things that
For
even
sure.
matter.
For sure.
It's a factor of the total package.
So we can look at it 2 ways. We can look at maybe should the purses be a little fatter in these meets so that for winning a meet and doing well, can you pony up? Well, then there's some problems because you have 75 different classes and subdivisions in a powerlifting meet, and if you're going to pay good money for the top, you have a lot of people getting default gold as default good money, and that money's got to come from either raising the prices then to join the meet, or you got to hustle sponsors, and there's not a lot of value, I don't think, to a meet sponsor in the grand scheme of things. So then it goes down to like actual people sponsoring their athletes, which for the most part I think is only worth a shit if they have a big social media following nowadays.
Yeah, I mean,
Like if you have a fucking 2,600 pound total in
have,
silence,
yeah.
if you do that in private, good for you. You're strong as shit and wonderful, and you're whatever.
Don't
But
wonder why you're not
complain
getting
because
paid.
nobody's
Yeah.
fucking paying you.
Right.
Because the money is not about how much you can lift. It's about how many units you can move
Yeah.
of someone else's product.
Which is exactly the reason why you see these social media, Instagram stars and YouTube stars and stuff, because a lot of them don't necessarily lift that much. Like, they're really not any different than us. Like, they lift about the same. Some of them lift a lot less than us even. But it's just the fact that they've...
Especially those fitness models.
It's true.
But it's the fact that they've figured out how to garner attention and have an audience. And having an audience in this day and age is a very, very valuable thing to businesses.
Well, we know that if the right person posts a picture or a video on Instagram wearing one of our shirts, we sell shirts because of that.
Which meant, if we had to pay somebody, I know who we'd pay.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few people who we would pay.
That
and there
are
were some
worth
people,
dollars.
And there were some people who we for sure would not pay
Right.
to post on it.
Right. So what they complain about is it's a lot of times it's like an older, more experienced power lifter or whatever, like giving advice to these younger guys saying, if someone gives you a shirt or whatever, that's not sponsoring you. They need to give you money in order to be a sponsor. But like a lot of the younger guys, they're not to that. They're not worth the money yet.
So take the shirt. 'Cause it's cool.
Yeah.
And maybe because that was just given to you.
Right.
And then if you can return a little value, that relationship will continue.
Exactly.
But the problem is if you want to dig in and wait, I guess that'd be a good strategy if you already had something to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
But until then, if it was me, I would just start chipping away at that.
Right.
If I had an opportunity, an angle, I would see what I can do to make that work, and then I would assume that it would continue to go back and forth and back and forth.
I would say,
because I wouldn't just give somebody free shirts and $2,000 with hope.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I'd throw them some free shirts if they did some things.
Like, hey, you get huge.
If they did some things, and it kept working out for us, we certainly would continue to pursue that and go further down that road. But in the beginning, it starts out with, here, just take these.
Yeah.
Like, if you like them, just like them.
Yeah,
wear them.
exactly.
There's not a whole lot of you best post. And that's the deal is you get into some of those formal agreements then, and then I think it becomes bullshit. I think if we ever did anything like it, it would be more loose anyways. Oh, you're headed to a meet. Here, we'll pony up for, we'll get you your hotel or whatever. Here's some shirts. There'll be some shit for you when you get there. That's the best way to do it, I think, as opposed to no, we're going to get this in writing. Contractually, we pay you $1,000 a month. And
I would also say that there's so few people in the world that could justify actually making a paycheck as a powerlifter.
For sure.
That's almost a joke. I mean, you can listen to a lot of podcasts. I think the Juggernaut one likes to joke about it a lot. The idea that you can make a living being a powerlifter because, one, it's just not popular enough for that. And then two, there's just not enough, right now at least, opportunities to actually make money. I mean, besides supplement companies, what are you making money with? Where it's going to be a livable income enough, and then on top of that to support other random people,
Right.
There's not a lot out there.
No, exactly.
And I think you're even seeing that with just because of how small the audience is with powerlifting. Is you can even look at 8 Man was a company that kind of came out of nowhere and got I think relatively big, and you can go look at a lot of their posts now, and a lot of them are directed at the MMA crowd. Because it's just the powerlifting crowd is so small. It's hard to get a lot of money in there to really sustain itself and go on to bigger things.
And if you look at the people almost in any strength sport that transcend it, they have to, or that are really successful, they have to transcend their individual sport. You know what I mean? Like Half Thor. There's a reason he is who he is, and he's big and strong, but he's also in Game of Thrones, and so now he's actually famous, not strength sport famous. And I think you see that with powerlifters on Instagram and shit. The people that are actually getting deals and making money are the ones that actually have a following that's not all powerlifting people.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be that.
No, yeah, it has to be entertaining.
Yeah.
That's LeBron James. I'm sure he sells a lot of shoes to people that don't play basketball in those shoes.
I would guess that almost all of the shoes go to people that don't play basketball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely high school kids wearing them, but outside of that, I would think a huge chunk of his shoes are people not playing basketball in them.
For sure.
And it's just because they're a fan of that person entertains them, brings value into their life, and that's kind of how they kick it back.
What would it take for, I guess, what it would take for the whole pot of money to grow to where more people can make money. It's just that powerlifting would have to simply be more popular, right?
Yeah.
Like the
And
sports,
it's become more popular, so at least these conversations
that's what I don't understand where these old timers are bitching about the young guys who are doing a deal, and it's like we're just doing a little thing that, truthfully, doesn't probably ask that much of the athlete either. And that's where when people are giving out this unsolicited advice, it's like, well, if you send somebody some shirts, are you like, it's not like that person who's out digging ditches all day and you paid them in t-shirts.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they were doing some things that they were already doing.
Yeah, it's a thing that they're going to do regardless. Like, I don't
Same
think
thing with supplements. You know, the supplement companies that sponsor them, a lot of those guys will just get free supplements.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of where powerlifting's different is people do it just because they love it. Like no one gets into it with the idea that I'm going to make a ton of money doing this. Like
Probably that's your plan.
Well, you can't.
However,
It's such a long-term,
if that's your plan, we're here to talk you out of that.
Yeah. And even, it's such a
like you could go to college, and you could get a good. You could become a doctor. As easy as you could become like that's probably an easier thing to do than being an elite enough powerlifter with a large enough audience to actually make a good living.
Oh yeah, I would,
Jesus, just go to college.
Just for the fact that
just go to college.
Yeah, I mean, there's thousands of people that become doctors. I mean, probably tens of thousands every year.
There's like 8 powerlifters that make any money.
Like to somewhat play the other side of the coin of what I would agree with what they said to tie in with what you said, Tyler, is like those young and up and coming guys, like there's nothing wrong with getting shirts and stuff like that, but I don't like necessarily the term, sponsored athlete or like they're at that stage there probably shouldn't be like contractual obligations of like, but if it's a loose thing, like why is that bad? If you're getting some shirts and you get to say, hey, this company's kind of like supporting me in one way or another, and like I like their stuff,
and they're like appreciative of what I do, and we're kind of both people are on board with each other. Like it's a mutual beneficial relationship, I think.
Well, there's if you follow us, all these people that you see our shirts on, we send people shirts all the time, but we don't ask anything in return. We're just like, hey, we're kind of a fan of yours. Yeah, here's a shirt, and we think it's cool if they wear it. Yeah. We like it, of course, if they wear it because it's good for us, but we're not asking that of anyone. We're not saying.
If your product doesn't suck, people will be into it anyways. So
right.
If that's
in my
key
opinion,
that's kind of all it takes. Like sometimes you get people that have just some like busted ass brand and they just wearing it now because someone sent them some shit.
Like I think just talking back to the money thing is like I believe when we were at the Arnold, Dan told us that one of his sponsors paid for his hotel for the whole week and everything, which. That's awesome for him, but it also makes sense because he's in like the top 6 totals of all time in the world, right in there.
Yeah, so you can garner that.
Yeah, you can garner that, but should like the number.
He was there to do basically the Massenomics podcast, which in my opinion is
most valuable of all.
Yeah, but should like the number 2 guy at the 183-pound weight class in the federation that no one's heard of, should they be getting paid?
What if they have 1,100 followers though?
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe that person can get like a closet full of free shirts and hats and stuff. And if like shirts and hats are something he wants, like why not take them?
Nobody sends us free shirts or hats.
Yeah,
fuck.
I mean, I just don't think it's a I don't see the negative in it. I see it if you're like all this weird contractual thing and it's tying you up.
Yes,
and I see the negative there.
And where it does get weird is when people start. No matter what, if you are that person, if you're that powerlifter and you're trying to market yourself and get a big following, then you as a brand is important, I think. And so what happens is those people fuck up their own brand by pimping other people's stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Then it gets shitty where it's like, use my promo code for blah, 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 blah. And then it gets to be a thing where it's like almost irritating to follow a person that has
or
that
you
much
see
shit.
it like cycle through like every 6 months, like a whole nother thing's dropped out and there's another supplement company in or another apparel company and it's like so you're just like this mercenary for hire, like you're just taking whatever comes up because based off of prior history, like it looks like you don't actually support these products, you're just looking for a paycheck.
Well, I can tell the people listening another thing that we're doing firsthand that's probably we are a company that's kind of on the borderline of being able to maybe do some of those things, but we're working a little bit with a guy now. We've sent him some stuff, some shirts and some hats. But I've talked with him several times back and forth. When I first felt him out, I told him we're not interested in any sort of a contractual thing or like no obligation. Like we don't even want you. Like don't just be posting about our things. But if you want to be,
that's a turn.
Right? That's a turn off. And he. As we were talking back and forth, he was like explaining how several companies had approached him, but everyone else, there was like, you had to do this in your posts, do this in your profile, post this many times. Yeah. And I said, that's the opposite of what we even want. Like I don't want you blowing our shit. Right. Yeah. You make it look, us look stupid. You make us look like assholes. Yeah. Like just do it when you want to. And if like you actually.
Frankly, yeah. If you're going to squat something crazy heavy, put our shirt on.
That's exactly what I was like. If you just want to wear it when you say anything. Yeah. It's like you can occasionally
we'll monitor your
tag
feed.
It or something. But yeah.
We'll monitor your feed and we'll answer the questions if people are asking about the shirt.
And this guy is Chris Weiss, so I would recommend following him. He's 22 years old, he's and he's gonna be deadlifting 900 pounds really soon. I don't doubt, and but yeah, that's what we've done with him, and he really likes that idea, because he knows too that he's not gonna get paid thousands of dollars. He's got,
and frankly, if someone else wants to pay him, go ahead. He's not signed up for anything, so good for him. He can do it whatever he needs.
And what I've told him, like, if nothing else, out of curiosity, let me know, like, if you get something that's really cool, like, because I'd like to know.
We don't know how these deals
work.
Yeah,
that's what I've said too. Like, we kind of match up with you. We're growing. We're not there. We're not like a 50,000
almost 900 pounds.
No, I mean company wise versus him. So it matches up. And say if he grows and gets wildly successful and starts selling a bunch of shirts, and we can trace that back to him, we'll give you
money.
Yeah, like you sell 50 of our shirts,
there should be money.
We'll give you money. Yeah. So
yeah, definitely.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But I do think that sponsored athlete, that whole term, we talked about that. I'd like it to something better that shows that you have a relationship, but it's not like, ooh, a sponsored athlete.
Why I like the way Matt at Pioneer has done some of that stuff. Yeah. Where it's actually he says quite often that there's never anything really official with any of his guys. He just kind of helps them out and does that. And
they post about his stuff.
And they post about his stuff.
And it's honest, like good.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Those weird forced posts, like when you see those, I've never been like, oh, sign me up for whatever he's selling,
Yeah. Have you noticed that the comment bots on Instagram, that they've clamped down on that quite a bit?
Oh, have they? I've seen less.
Much less.
The ones I have seen, like the English is just getting insanely ridiculous though. Like, what do you, like, who from where is coming up with that?
It's like, because like all the awful dreaming elegance shit that would come in.
What is that?
It just hits hard.
I want to know how many accounts Dreaming Elegance has created, because they have every variation now of Dreaming _Elegance _ and then just 40 numbers with underscores and symbols.
What is that company? Do you know?
No idea, and I don't want to give them any more
credit. I don't know either. I just see it in there. I'm like, oh, this thing again.
If you have ever bought anything from that company,
you're the problem.
Yeah, you're a part of the problem.
And if you've ever believed that they want to like,
hey, would you like to rep our brand?
See, that's the bad like brand repping sponsoring stuff. That's like, okay, that's not a real thing. Like they're just giving you a discount of their higher
buy $400 worth of our stuff, and you'll be a brand rep.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
They're the fucking advocate of
Instagram.
Instagram.
They're like, where are who's writing those things though? Those comments.
It's from like India or Pakistan. They just have software, just bots.
Yeah. This made me think of recently. I was digging in the back end of the website. I think it was earlier in the weekend. I was looking through.
Pretty sexual.
It was very sexual.
Into the back end of the website.
And I was looking through some search terms, and someone on our website has typed into the search box like,
"This is recent. Too.
Fit babes and big hunk."
I'll read it verbatim. I'll have it right here.
And I'm like, someone actually came to our website and looked for this, and then also the term like nude women lifters has popped up, and some other things like that. So.
I can't see it now because it's this. I can only go this month, and we're in October now. But it was like it was one full search, and it was like fit babes and huge sexy hunks.
Yeah.
You're like that was a in quotation search.
It's like,
It was like, this is the
within
terms.
our website.
so now we know this is what the people want. So we're gonna have to.
I guess we're gonna have to get some huger, hunkier dudes. And
I
fit
saw
babes.
that one on there too.
Yeah.
We'll give the people what they want, I guess.
Fit babes.
So Tyler, we know what you're searching for on the website at night,
Yeah,
and it's not there. Trust me.
that is tremendous. Anything else we got to get out there today, guys?
We did have that one more thing, but we should probably save that really big announcement. But we should probably just save that for next episode.
Yeah,
again.
the big announcement. We better hit
Yeah,
on
we're an hour in
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, at this point, you guys don't want to hear anything.
We're already an hour in.
Yeah,
And
so tune in next week for a earth-shattering announcement in the world of Massenomics. It's going to change the way you view almost everything.
it would.
Yeah.
Politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gender.
religion,
It'll change the way you argue on Facebook with people you don't know.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna, that guy that you wrote out a message this long to argue your point against his.
Yep.
You're gonna now agree with that
Yeah,
other
you're
guy.
going to go back and you're going to delete that comment and you're going to say, you know what?
I agree.
I think we've
You
reached
should-
common ground now. Yeah. Hashtag Massenomics.
all because of what we're gonna put on the table here.
Yeah.
this
It's going
next
to be
week.
crazy.
I'm excited for
I'm
it.
pretty excited to
I'm
figure
gonna
out
tune
what
in
it
next
is
week.
also.
I'm gonna write a review.
I mean,
for
we've
our
been
podcast
using
because-
the success. The secrets of the success have been coming to us for a while. So it's just
pretty
it's
wild.
time we share.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us today. Make sure you go to iTunes podcast or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review or 7 or 8 reviews. Also, go to Massenomics.com. There you'll find our store. You can buy all sorts of shirts, hats. You can buy. Well, Tanner's got some one-off gear. So does Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Everything we have, you cannot buy.
Yeah.
Well, you can. You just got to get in contact with
That's
us.
true.
And
Good point. If you want special hats, email me or DM us.
We
And
usually do it just for something special like what Tommy's got. It'll probably just be about $5 or $10 more than what a regular price is. But we can do custom colors and such if you're into that kind of stuff. So email us at getbig@massenomics.com. Also, if you want to send us money or sponsor us or let us hashtag rep your brand.
We'll take free T-shirts and
take
hats.
free T-shirts.
yeah.
If you want to send us T-shirts, hats,
We even
shoes.
owned a brand. We own our own brand company, and I'd still if it
send
was
me
cool,
stuff,
if
I
it
would
was
wear it.
free and actually cool, I would wear that.
Yeah. Preferably if it's just the really thick 50-50 cotton beefy tees that feel like cardboard.
Boxes.
Yeah, that's what I
The
want.
box T-shirt.
Also, then go to youtube.com/Massenomics and subscribe to the page there. You can make sure you're liking and following us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Tyler. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFFIN Stone. And Tom
you can find me at Tomahawk_D.
and Tanner.
The Instagram of Massenomics, Instagram Massenomics page. At Massenomics on Instagram.
Instagram Massenomics. Massenomics
At
Instagram.
Massenomics.
Is that a thing? I bet it is a thing.
I don't know. I bet it is too.
We got to resolve this now.
we
This
could
can't be
make it
next
one.
week's
Is it a
surprise.
page?
We're gonna find out right now. If it's not, I'm opening that account.
Well, did you look for? Is there a website of this?
I bet there's a website.
There is actually 3 posts that's hashtag Massenomics. They're all mine. They're my naked squat post on Instagram, and then the one I posted of our bag.
No people though, is there?
No people. The one I posted of our sandbag where you couldn't see the M. So I purposely hashtagged that one Massenomics. So Tommy, time to lock that
it's
down.
really interesting though when you Google the word Massenomics.
Do we come up?
Well, no, because the first thing it says Massenomics to release NGS-based test for bad behavior. So it looks like Massenomics is a thing, but then you go down 2 more and it's Yo Anus Dick. And I don't know. It just seems like it's.
Well, this episode is brought to you by Yo Anus Dick and Massenomics.
Yeah.
So we'll hit them up. They can pay us later. So thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week, and stay strong.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.